Welcome. Thanks so much for joining us for Insights. We're glad you're with us for this last edition of the 2011-2012 school year. This month, our student panel from around the district is comprised of seniors, and we're going to be focusing on our plans for after graduation. We're all excited about what's coming next, and we're glad to hear the questions that these students are going to be bringing to the table today. First, I'd like to introduce Dr. Waddell. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Dr. Waddell, as you know, is our superintendent. We've got students from around the district who are going to be bringing these questions, and we'll have a fantastic discussion based on what LISD has contributed to the lives of these students and where these students are going to head in the future. So let's get started over on the end.
Hi, my name is Christina Doan, and I go to the Colony High School.
I'm Lola Carey. I go to Hebron High School.
I'm Lexi Jordan. I go to Marcus High School.
I'm Forrest Cup. I go to Louisville High School.
I'm Sterling Bueno. I go to the Colony High School.
And Sterling is sitting in for one of our students today who could not make it from Flower Mound. Sterling, why don't you ask us the question that Jawad had submitted for the panel today?
Okay. My question is, what career fields do you see as offering the best opportunities in the future?
I think anything with math and science gives a lot of opportunity. You know, engineering, there's always going to be a need for that. What we're going to see is, you asked about fields, but I think a lot about what seniors are going to be looking at and students following them is there's going to be new fields opening up that we don't even know about right now. So an important thing is just making sure that you've been able to position yourself that you can be adaptable and take advantage of emerging fields as they come open. But certainly technology and biomedicine and those fields are huge fields to go into. Kind of envy you in a way. I think your world's going to be an exciting world. I try to think about what the world's going to be like when you get my age, and I think, wow, what incredible opportunity you get to have. The things you're going to get to see and take part in. I think it's just going to be amazing.
Does anyone have a thought of what maybe that first career is going to be, or any particular interest about what you want to study in college?
Oh, I do. I want to be a lawyer, a corporate lawyer, and in college I plan on studying political science and minoring in business.
Yeah, I think we'll have lawyers with us for a long time. I think there's a lot of security in that profession.
Very, very good decision, Lola. Forrest, you're next. What question do you have for Dr. Waddell?
Do you have someone that has had a profound impact on your life, and do you think that you have had a profound impact on someone else?
I think if I had to name one, though, it would be Mr. Ed Coombs at the University of North Texas. He was my history teacher. He changed everything about how I went about my work, how I studied, what I thought was possible. That good enough was not good enough. And just very grateful to him. He was a great man, and just deeply inspired me. He was tough. Boy, he was hard. But I remember taking his final exam in medieval civilization. It was a tough course, and it was maybe the toughest test I've ever took, except for my graduate comprehensive exams and for my doctorate. And I was scared to death how I did on that, and I always wanted to please him, and I was worried that I didn't do well enough. I wanted to do well enough for him. And during the break in Christmas break between semesters, I happened to be in the history offices, and I saw him, and I tried to duck before he see me. And he grabbed me, and he goes, "Mr. Waddell," and then he complimented my exam. I ended up making an A on that thing, but he raised my level of standards for myself, and so I would say Mr. Coombs. He was a wonderful man, and even though he was a tough professor, he cared about his students a lot. You asked about if I think I've impacted anyone. So, you know, it's my hope that I have. I'd like to think that I have, but most the people who you impact the most, you probably will never know, but that impact lasts forever.
Lexi, what's your question?
My question is, what are your goals for seniors graduating from LISD?
I want them to live happy lives. I want them to be happy and feel successful and feel like they're important and feel comfortable and confident in themselves as people. We have a new vision that our board will vote on July 11th in the board meeting. It's a part of a year-long strategic design process that we've been involved in, that we've asked community, which includes students, to participate in, parents, citizens. And that vision, I can't think of a better one. The vision is all of our students enjoy thriving and productive lives in a future they create. You know, think about that. And that's what I want. That's what I want for the graduating seniors. I want them to, each senior, to enjoy a thriving and productive life in a future that they believe that they're creating their own future. If we do that, then we've done a great thing.
Lola, do you want to share your question?
Yes. After graduation, many students go different routes and become different things. Besides working smart, hard, staying diligent and focused, what is something you feel is important to relate to every child that graduates from one of your high schools?
I think service is important. You know, we live in a society, and the quality of the society we live in is dependent upon the contributions that people make. I would like that they have a sense that they're a part of something larger than themselves and want to impact that, and that though they take care of themselves, but they're also concerned with their fellow man, and want to leave the world a better place than how they found it.
Yeah, Lily, you had mentioned your corporate attorney plans. Was there someone who impacted that decision, or?
Yes, actually, and it's not somebody like, I've had amazing teachers, just amazing teachers, but my basketball coach, Coach Caldwell, Brina Caldwell, and she has changed my life in so many ways. And like the most important, because, you know, I wasn't always on time to practice, and I wasn't always, you know, doing the things that I should have been doing. But her biggest thing that she always imparted in me was work smart. You don't always have to work hard, but when you're here, give me 110%. And I remember one day she just got tired of it, and she was like, 6:30, you and me. And for 2 hours, we were in the gym, and she was just going over how much my actions impacted other people. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't, because it was one of those days you had to be at school by 12, and she was like, 6:30, be here. We're going to run, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And, you know, my body remembers it, but I remember more her saying, your actions impact other people.
Right.
And if you are going to do something, make a commitment and make it, you know, don't back out and give 110. And she's the reason I chose AP classes, and she's the reason for a lot of things in my life. And I'm so blessed to have somebody like her. That
sounds like what Mr. Coombs was for me. Mm-hmm. That's great advice. Good story, too.
It is a great story.
You know, I was late once. I was a graduate student. I'm embarrassed to tell this, really, but I was a graduate student in the history department. And I was in a seminar, and I thought I was pretty good, you know. And I showed up a little late to my seminar class, and I'd done that a couple of times. I didn't think it was that big a deal. And another great professor I had, Dr. Irby Nichols. I walked in, and I sat down. He just looked up at me, fellow students sitting alongside the table, and all he said was, Mr. Waddell, professionals aren't late. That's all he said. Went back to the seminar. I'm sitting there with my ears burning. You know how your ears kind of start getting hot? I never was late again. I've never forgotten that lesson. And so sometimes you get things that kind of help you a little bit.
3 words is all it took, apparently.
That's all it took.
Learn the lesson once.
Yeah, I didn't want to do that again.
Christina, what's your question for Dr. Waddell?
Do you personally have any advice that you'd like to give to students going to college and for students who aren't going to college?
Well, I think I'd probably like to steal the advice that the coach gave that we just heard a moment ago. That's about as good advice as I think you can get. Realizing that I think it doesn't matter whether you're in college or doing something working, give 110%. Realize that no matter what you do, you impact other people. Take things seriously. Have fun. College is fun. I think when you go to college, you ought to have fun. But you can have fun and also realize you're there for a reason, you know, and learn as much as you can in college. Speaking specifically of college, I heard when I was in college, sometimes I'd hear students, oh, don't take that professor, they're too hard. And I'd know who that professor was, and that was a great professor. It wasn't they were too hard. They just expected a lot. You take a great coach. Great coaches, some might say they're hard. Well, they expect a lot. You don't win if you don't really put out a big effort. If you're just goofing around, your team's not going to ever accomplish anything. So don't avoid those people who will really help you, who are challenging or make you try harder. Do your best. Throw yourself into your studies and get the most out of it. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience to go to college. It goes by in a hurry. So enjoying the experience while at the same time really getting everything out of it that you can. But when you get out of college, you're going to go to work. And so those who go to college and then go to work, and those who don't and just go to work, you're working then. So be your best. One thing I learned in college is there were plenty of students, and this is true in the workplace too, people who are they just want to do good enough. Whatever it takes just to kind of, don't try to excel, don't push yourself. And I found if you set higher standards than that, set your standards for yourself. You don't look at others and see what they're doing and go, well, I'm just going to do what they're doing. Set high standards for yourself. That's what the coach was saying to you. Set high standards and reach for that. Don't go and try to be mediocre. And in work, in college, I think that's important. And you'll get so much more out of your life. You get so much more gratification in what you do. We have auto tech here in this center. If you're a mechanic and you're working on cars, be the best there is on that. You'll get so much more satisfaction out of your job. And I have a daughter. She's been out of college a few years now, but I would tell her, as far as her career, not every day at work is great, but that doesn't mean your job's not great. Things happen to us. If you're an athlete, there's days practice may be grueling. If you're in band, I hear the drum corps out rehearsing in the summertime when it's 180 degrees, and they're on some parking lot doing the same thing over and over and over again for hours, and nobody driving them. And that's a good example of what I'm talking about. What makes them do that? The desire to excel. They know that's what's going to get them to the state marching band contest. And their sense of connection and responsibility to their fellow bandmates. And so if you give everything you have to something, you're going to find pleasure in it. And the parts of it that aren't exactly the most fun, you won't be saying, well, this isn't a good job because today had a hard part. You're going to say, I know why I'm doing this. I know where I'm trying to reach, and it's worth it, and I'm going to give it all I have. So I think that's it. Enjoy what you do, but set high standards. Work hard. Don't blow your opportunities.
You guys have had some fantastic questions. Very impressive panel.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We appreciate your time, and we're excited to see how they are impacting the world in the future. Our next episode of Insights is going to be in September, so we're going to take the summer off and hope that you have a fun, safe, happy summer. We'll see you next time.
And maybe these guys will want to come back for that episode.
Sounds good. Sounds good. We look forward to it.